I don't celebrate when I hear local stories and local victories from people in this United Kingdom when they get a migrant hotel closed, or when we get a few people removed from the country. I don't cheer because mostly it's going in one direction, which is the vast majority of illegal migrants are given indefinite leave to remain. And sure, they may go out of a local hotel, but they have to go somewhere. The tiny village of Linton on Ouse has a population of about 1,200 people. The government wishes to give them 3,750 illegal dinghy divers. Migrants will outnumber the residents 3 to 1. How is this not treason? The fact that they're staying is baked into how our current asylum system works and how the civil service and the Home Office are interpreting the rules. Some people may not know this, but when Prime Minister Theresa May was ruling Britain, she signed Britain up to a UN Refugee Pact or Convention, a migration pact. Now, this pact isn't legally binding and it's more a memorandum of understanding. So, when you see the legal system protecting the asylum seekers or making sure that they get indefinite leave to remain, think about the sneaky, underhanded nature of most politicians. They are allowing the illegals to stay here by design. The rules were set up post World War II in a very different time. They were set up to protect against the atrocities that happened during World War II and to safeguard the continent of Europe. The European Convention of Human Rights should only apply to Europeans. All the other continents of the world should look after their own. If there is a migrant from Africa claiming asylum, they should be claiming asylum in Africa. It is not Europe's problem. We have to look at the entire legal system that has grown up, the human rights system that has grown up post World War II, because at the moment we have the ludicrous proposition that we can get Egyptian asylum seekers violently attacking and assaulting our women and children. They smile, they grin, they laugh about it, and me, being the British taxpayer, pays their legal aid. If any of these asylum seekers are genuine, they should be given asylum in countries close to where they are. When we look at the greatest generation, the generation that fought World War II, went in and won it for the Allies, essentially, sometimes single handedly, the consensus that they came to after World War II is not fit for purpose. I actually detest the phrase the national interest. Whenever you hear a politician say it's about the national interest, what is the national interest? The only interest any elected politician should have is the taxpayer's pound. My money in my pocket and making my taxes less extreme, cutting costs for me and my family, and making Britain a manageable and pleasant place to live. These are the only concerns I want to hear politicians talk about. When they talk about nebulous human rights, when they discuss the national interest or the national interest, what they're actually getting at is preserving the system that has delivered the worst outcomes for the native British people in history. That is what they are talking about. When you look at the ludicrous situation where we are going to be flooding small towns all over Britain with thousands of migrants, nobody ever voted for this. We do not consent. The entire system needs to be metaphorically burnt to the ground, and we need to start over. These are just my opinions. As always, your mileage may vary. When you look at the greatest generation, when you look at the people that fought in World War II, if they fast forwarded to 70 or 80 years down the line, do you think that they would stand for or abide the southern invasion? It is an invasion. It's just narrow legal terminology that prohibits like-minded people from calling it an invasion because no hostile country has declared war. Again, comments, you let me know if I'm overstating things or I've got it on the money here. The post-war consensus is not serving the interests of the British people, the British taxpayer. In fact, it is undermining everything that we've spent 1,000 years building in England and over 300 years building in this United Kingdom. It is antithetical to our sense of fair-mindedness and basic decency. My taxpaying pounds should not be funding anybody that's not paid into the system, and I've got no moral or righteous obligation to the rest of the universe while we are in the red, financially speaking. We have not been in the black, financially speaking, running a surplus in Britain since the restoration of the Crown after the English Civil War. When people say we're the fifth richest country in the world, do you feel it? Do you feel that you live in the fifth most richest nation on the planet? I don't. I don't at all. Now, what are your thoughts and comments on the resolutions that I proposed? We need a complete rethinking of the Refugee Convention. We need to put a pause on net migration to Britain. It needs to be net negative for the next 10 to 15 years. I think many of our forebears, many of our grandparents and great-grandparents wouldn't tolerate any of this BS, any of this nonsense from the government. The incoming government, the next government, needs to seriously rethink everything that they thought they knew, because it's not serving anyone but the people that are at the tippy top of our system. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching.